So the controversial Conor Benn returns to action on February 3rd against Peter Dobson. He's an undefeated fighter, 16-0 from the United States, 33 years of age, 5'10" from the Bronx, New York. Now, Peter Dobson has been talking real smoky about Conor Benn. He says he's not impressed by him, called him a bum. Here's a direct quote. He said, if you want to win some bread, this is apparently what he put up on social media. He said, if you want to win some bread, bet on me for February 3rd. He says, Conor Benn is a bum and they got him beating me on the odds in Vegas. He went on to say, the kid is a bum. I don't know how they think he can beat me. Now, being confident is essential if you're going to give yourself any type of chance in any fight, not just in the boxing ring, but in life in general, right? You got to be confident. But I'm just wondering where this level of confidence in Peter Dobson comes from. Is it just hype talk? Maybe he's acting like he's really confident, but really what he's doing is trying to sell tickets. I don't know. But if this is genuine, then again, I don't know where it comes from because I've watched a few Peter Dobson fights now. And while he seems competent and relatively solid, he looks unspectacular. He just looks like an average fringe contender. I didn't see anything in the fights I've watched of his that would make me believe that Conor Benn is in any serious danger in this fight. Then again, you never know. I'm not saying Conor Benn is the greatest fighter in the world, but for Peter Dobson to say that Conor Benn is a bum, I didn't see ability in Peter Dobson that was levels and levels above Conor Benn at all. Now, Conor Benn continues to do everything in his power, it would seem, to turn the British public against him by the stuff that he says. He just comes across as a complete heel at this point, obnoxious, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe he thinks it's a good thing, clearly, because Conor Benn has been calling himself a promoter's dream. He says, I'm the most wanted man in Britain. He said here, I'm a promoter's dream. I ain't fought for a year and a half and I'm still here, still at the tips of people's tongues, still at the forefront of people's minds for these mega fights. You know, so it's like kind of frustrating, not because of Eubank, I couldn't care about him, just a big name, just anyone, like any one of the names mentioned, let's make it happen. Well, the fact that those fights haven't happened should tell Conor Benn that perhaps he isn't the promoter's dream he thinks he is. Because if he was a promoter's dream, those are the fights that would be happening. Promoters want to make big fights. That's why his promoter, Eddie Hearn, tried to make the Eubank fight, which ordinarily you would think is I certainly always thought it was a bizarre move to make. But because of the names of Eubank and Benn, it would have been, at least before the PED scandal, probably a pay-per-view bonanza. Not the biggest pay-per-view blockbuster in British history like Eddie Hearn was saying, but it probably would have done relatively well, okay? And certainly DAZN have been desperate for some pay-per-view revenue, and that was why Eddie Hearn was pushing it so hard. But yeah, they didn't manage to secure that fight, and they haven't managed to secure any other big fights for Conor Benn. He's taking on this obscure fringe contender in Peter Dobson, who has no respect for Benn, at least in terms of the way he's talking. This is where Conor Benn's at. This will be a fight in the United States in a ballroom in Las Vegas. So, yeah, the idea that he is the most wanted welterweight in Britain or in the world or whatever, it hasn't been borne out by the way his career is progressing at the moment, or regressing, some would say. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. There's usually a few people who will make the case for these obscure underdogs. I mean, I remember when Jared Anderson fought Kossobutski, or was supposed to fight Kossobutski, excuse me. He didn't end up fighting Kossobutski. It was Efe Ajagba that fought Kossobutski. And many people were picking Kossobutski to win that fight. There were many people picking him to beat Anderson, but that fight didn't go ahead. And then they switched over and started picking Kossobutski to beat Efe Ajagba. But as it turned out, Kossobutski had no appetite for battle whatsoever. As soon as Ajagba even got close with the right hand, Kossobutski was looking for a way out. So again, sometimes these obscure fighters will garner a following of people who really believe in them. It was actually similar with that other guy, the black American guy that Efe Ajagba fought. I forget his name now, but he fought him either just before or just after the Kossobutski fight. I think it was just before. And there were many people picking him to beat Efe Ajagba as well. Will there be people picking Peter Dobson to defeat Conor Benn? Probably, out there somewhere. But from what I've seen of him, it's not a bet I would make. I'd be picking Conor Benn. Not to say Conor Benn is amazing, not to say he's going to be as good as his dad, not to say he's going to be the number one welterweight in the world, but from what I've seen of both of them, he should be good enough to deal with this Peter Dobson guy. So that's my take on it. Give me your take in the comment section below.